Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Art of Trade Station. Thank you for taking time out of your schedules to be here, learn a little bit about TradeStation. If you've been with TradeStation some time already, we're going to go over some functionality that it's more on the advanced area. So hopefully you'll walk away with something that you didn't know. And for those of you that are just getting started with TradeStation, welcome to the TradeStation family. We do these sessions to highlight certain functionality of the TradeStation platform. Today is all about order entry and finding out about those settings that you can use to create conditional orders. So hopefully everyone here can find something that they can apply in their own trading. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. It's always a pleasure to be here. Let's go through some disclosures before we get started. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that we cover in this class is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone. It should only be done with risk capital, and past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. For additional information on these disclosures, go to www.tradestation.com/important-information. The link is right there on this PowerPoint slide. My colleague Manolo is also posting in the chat. So if you see any posts from Manolo, he's a TradeStation employee, and he just shared a link there to the disclosures if you need more details. We also have the options on the futures disclosures at the bottom of this page in case those are the asset classes that you trade. Since we're doing an order entry presentation today, wanted to make sure that we are all aware of the risks of trading online. All right. Are you guys ready? Let's go ahead and switch over here to my TradeStation platform. All right. We expect the class to be pretty full. So the activity in the chat is going to be pretty active. So we appreciate your participation. If you have any questions or you'd like a little bit more clarification on the functionality that we are discussing today, please feel free to submit those questions there. We have a dedicated support team also. If you go to the Contact Us page on TradeStation.com, I don't know if you can find that link as well, the Contact Us page. We have a team that's, there answering calls from anybody that has questions on the TradeStation platform. So you're welcome to call them if you need an immediate answer. Yes, the session will be recorded. Thank you for posting that information, Manolo. The recording will be available in a few days after we get, all the compliance approvals and the edits done to the presentation. So we do appreciate your patience as we get that video posted to the TradeStation YouTube channel. Today, as the title of the presentation said, we are going to talk about conditional orders. Most of the time, when you want to place a trade on any trading platform, it's kind of intuitive. For example, on TradeStation, you have a trade bar at the very top that makes it easy for you to put in a simple buy or selling transaction. When it gets a little tricky, though, is when you try to add conditions to your trade. For example, if you say, I do want to buy the shares of this particular security or the shares of this stock, but only if, that only if is where traders have difficulty, putting in their trades on the trading platforms, because it does require you to know where these settings are, what type of conditional orders can you create, and what type of rules can you put into an order so that it's not just a straight buy and sell. It's a buy and sell only if certain conditions are met. So we're going to go over some of the functionality that allows you to do that sort of trades. I'm going to start over here on the TradeStation trade bar right here on the top of TradeStation. And some of the advanced and conditional rule settings that you find on the platform are part of this advanced button. So make sure that you're clicking here to get access to this collection of checkboxes and settings that we're going to discuss right away. If you are a fan of the matrix, you also find those same checkboxes, but you do have to enable what's called the advanced trade bar. Under the settings button, we go to, we don't have to go anywhere. Under the settings button, you find an option here that says advanced trade bar. And when you click on it, it just adds an additional bar here with exactly the same buttons you find here on the top. The checkboxes that you find here on equities are going to change if you're a futures trader. There's not going to be as many because a lot of the checkboxes that we find for equities are features that are provided by market makers and ECNs. They're not necessarily, things that TradeStation offers for equities. These are more settings and functionality that market makers and ECNs provide all traders. But on the futures side, if you're a futures trader, you are going to be able to use at least the activation rule, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. Activation rules allow you to set conditions based on time and price on any particular order. So let's start off with activation rules. If I put a checkbox right there in activation rule, and I'm doing this on futures, let's just do futures for now. I'm sure that there's a lot of futures traders here, and there's got to be equities traders as well. So I'm going to do a balance of both assets so that you all walk away with different examples, okay? So let's go over here and click on the settings. When you check activation rule, you have to go into the ellipsis button to access the settings of these activation rules. And you can set activations based on time, and you can also set activations based on price. Let's use an example on time so that you can see the application of this particular feature. Many traders, when they submit a trade, they may want to get executed after the market has been open for some time. There's certain high volatility that happens in the morning of every security that a lot of traders may want to avoid. So if you set a time activation on an order, that's one example where you could say, hey, if it's 9:30 in the morning, don't submit this trade yet. Wait until maybe 10 or 10:30, 30 minutes or 60 minutes after the market has opened, until the dust clears and we have a better visibility of where the price is headed. That's when I want to submit that trade. So in that type of scenario, we can set that activation rule. Let me set my time here to 10 a.m. One thing that I want everybody to remember is that the time that you set here is for the current trading session. So right now it is 2 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern time. If I set a time of 10, it's going to see that the time has already passed. And you cannot set an activation rule for the following day. So don't assume that by putting a time here of 10 a.m., it's going to reflect tomorrow. It's just going to say, oh, your activation rule has already passed. It can't work anymore. So keep in mind that activation rules based on time are only going to work during the current trading session. So even if I wanted to set an activation rule at 10 a.m. as an example, I wouldn't be able to do so because the time has passed already. But this is the way that you set it up. You set the time activation, click OK, and then you submit your trade. In this case, I'm trading futures, which are not really tied to the equities market, but it does present more volume during the day. So you may want to set an activation to only trade the S&P E-mini if it's past a particular time. So if I put in the symbol here for the ESZ23, and I say I want to buy one contract, and notice that if I choose a market order, the market order is a type of order that gets filled immediately if the conditions are right, or if it can get you a price, whatever the price is trading at the moment that the order hits the market. Let me go ahead and modify the execution. Since I cannot use 10 a.m., I'm going to use a forward time. So I'm going to use 3 p.m. here. Another thing to remember when you're setting a time activation is that the times are based on local time. I'm setting a time activation of 3 p.m. based on my computer clock, but it's trading a futures, which is trading in the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which trades in Central Time. So to avoid any confusion as to what time you should be putting in here, go by your computer clock, what your local time is. So you'd have to do the translation in your head. So if the market opens at 9:30 Eastern and you are on the Pacific coast, you know that it opens at 6:30 in the morning. So you have to think of what your local time is at the moment that you want to activate your trade. So 3 p.m. for my local time, I'm going to click OK. And all I need to do is submit this buy transaction. I'm going to go to the TradeManager window so that we can see that order working for us. Even though it was a market order and we should have expected an execution, it's not filled because we have a time activation set on it. So I'm going to show you where you can access that information. Where is it that you can go to keep an eye on all the orders that have been submitted, especially the ones that have an activation rule. I'm going to go here to apps and open up the TradeManager. So always have the TradeManager open handy somewhere so you can always refer to that order in here. All right, it's right there at the top. I have the symbol ESC23. Notice that it's a buying transaction and it has no price specifications. It's a market order, but it's still active. So it's a received order. And if I scroll to the right, I'm going to find a column that says advanced right there. Let me open that up. And you can see that there's an activation time of 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's not until 3 p.m. that this order will be activated and it'll get filled into the market. This order will sit here, not in my platform, but that's one of the nice things about these activation rules. These activation settings or conditional orders sit on the TradeStation execution server. So even if I shut down my platform, that is an order that TradeStation has received, is on the server, ready for execution, is just waiting for the time to be reached in order for it to be sent as a market order. I think that's very useful way of how you can use an activation rule. Let me show you another way. I have a few trades in here. They're all kind of losing trades. Yeah, all my equity trades are losing trades, but let's go ahead and use one as an example. Let me use Starbucks. Okay, Starbucks, my average price was 96.66. Right now it's trading at 90. So I'm losing about $3,000 because I have 500 shares. But let me go ahead and set up a trade for Starbucks and continue in the same line of activation rules, okay? For Starbucks, I don't have any active orders. So let me manage that position with a profit target and a stop loss. Maybe it's already a little bit too late for stop loss since already losing $3,000. I was trying to clean up my, the positions in my simulator, and I just didn't get a chance to do that. But let me go ahead and submit a new trade on Starbucks. So let me go ahead and close out of this. All right. All right. I have Starbucks right here in my equities tab. I'm going to buy 500 shares again. And I'm going to buy them at market just to have an open position. So buy. Order filled. Okay, so everybody sees my Starbucks position right here. My average price right now is $90. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a profit target of, right now it's sitting at $9.62. I'm going to set a profit target. Let me go back here to this workspace where I have a chart. And let me link these two windows together. So SB, what's the symbol for Starbucks? SBUX. All right. So right now, you can see the price of Starbucks right here on the chart, $90.61. Let's suppose that we're still waiting for Starbucks to recover a little bit. Maybe we're shooting for 93. So we want to set a target at 93. We want to set a stop at 89 if it drops if it goes the other way, and set a closing transaction that closes my trade at the end of the day. So that's my idea. A lot of times, we have open positions that we don't really want to keep open overnight. So what we do is we're still monitoring that position in case, it makes some profits. You can capture some of those gains. Or if it goes against you and it starts losing money, you have a way of protecting you from any losses or, unlimited losses, let's put it that way. And at the very end of the day, if it doesn't do anything, let's say that Starbucks just stays static, it doesn't go up or down, then you still want to have a closing transaction to get out of that trade if it doesn't do anything. So that's the type of trade that I'm going to set up right now. And I do need a time activation to do so. So let me go ahead and show you how do I put in that trade. I'm going to come over here to my trade bar at the very top. And I'm just going to do a custom OCO. I'm going to do a custom because TradeStation doesn't have a template that I can use that has 3 different exits. And that's the type of order that I need. I need an order that has 3 different exits, one at a target, one at a stop, and one based on time that exit the same position, which is in this case Starbucks. So this is a custom order. I'm going to create it as an OCO, meaning that if any of the orders in my setup get filled, the other two get canceled. If I reach my target, I don't need my stop or my time activated order. The same happens on any one of these orders if it gets filled. I'm going to click OK. And this is the window that comes up. Do not be overwhelmed by the looks of it, because I know that sometimes it looks a little bit complicated, but this is just an order that I'm going to be submitting for Starbucks. And what I need is just to type in the symbol here, SBUX. I'll do it one time, SBUX a second time, and SBUX a third time. Notice that all these three rows are under this yellow label with the letters OCO. OCO stands for order cancels order. So you're creating this setup that has three different scenarios, and the three scenarios are going to be selling transactions. Let me go ahead and set the action to sell on all three. The top one is going to be a limit, and I'm going to set my limit, and I said I was going to use the price of 93. The second one is my stop loss, so this is my stop market, and I'm going to set my stop here at 89. Then we talked about the price of 89 based on the chart over here. And then this third order is going to be a market order. And we know what we need to do to that market order. We need to set a time activation. This is the one that is going to get me out of this Starbucks position if it gets close to the close of the market and I still have an open position, if I don't want to keep it open overnight. So what I do is I go back here. One thing that I do a lot of times when I'm creating a setup like this is I go back and I click on the symbol just to make sure that that's on the row, the symbol with the row, or the row where the symbol shows, so that I know that that's the row where I'm setting the conditional order. I'm not setting it on the target. I'm not setting it on the stop. I'm setting it right here on this market order. So make sure that that's the one that's highlighted. And what I need to do is I need to scroll all the way here to the right. And this is where I see the advanced column. All right. And I have that row highlighted, and I have to come down here and check activation rule. Go to the ellipsis, time activation. I'm going to set a time activation of 3:55 p.m. So 5 minutes before the market close, I want it to get activated. And if the other two haven't gotten filled, this is going to be a market order to get out of my Starbucks position. I'm going to click OK. You can see how the information goes over here on the advanced column. So always glance at the advanced column and make sure that your settings are set properly. And that's it. All I need to do is go ahead and send the orders. I'm going to click on yes. And there we go. Now, let me go ahead and turn my orders here on this chart so that I can see them. Okay, and let me open up my chart. So here we can see our target at $93. We see our stop at $89. And we see another one that is covered by the yellow line. That's my market order to sell. But remember, since I put in a time activation on it, it's going to be there until the time is right, which is 3:55 p.m. And then it'll activate it and send it as a market order. Let me go ahead and set another type of order based on activation, but this time we're going to set it on price. Let's go here to my futures. All right, let's go ahead and I already had the ESZ23. Let me go to my TradeManager and cancel my order for ESZ. I had it in there, so let's right click and I'm just going to cancel this ESZ order. All right, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to send an order for the S&P E-mini futures to trade one contract, but I'm going to do the following. I'm going to go to limit, and I'm going to use an auto pricing functionality. Not a lot of people know that this feature exists in TradeStation. I don't know what the price of the futures is going to be if the S&P index goes to a certain level. Well, I'll tell you exactly what I mean by that. Let's say that I choose here join at the bid or at the ask. So if you choose join, notice how the limit price box is grayed out, because it's going to automatically look at the best bid and select that as the price of your order at the time it gets activated. And what's the activation time? The activation time is based on price. What we're going to do is come here to the activation settings. I'm going to click on uncheck time, because I'm not going to do it by time now. I'm going to do price, but the price that I'm going to be referencing is $SPX.X. And I wanted to do this example because you can already tell that you can use different symbols here. I'm trading the futures, the S&P E-mini futures contract, but at the same time, I'm setting a price activation on the index. Or you can even select something that is not even related to the symbol that you're trading to set that, price activation. So let me go ahead and add $SPX.X. So the futures is based on the index. But let's say, for example, that we want this to be traded less than 4,200. Okay, it's closer to the 42.49 at the moment. But let's say that if it goes down, I can say, less than or equal to 4,200. If it goes down to 4,200, I want to buy a futures contract on the S&P E-mini. I'm going to click OK here. And the joining pricing feature that I just selected will automatically fill in the price for me at the time that the S&P index drops to 4,200. I don't know what the price of the futures will be at that time, but by selecting join, it's going to look at the bid or ask and select that price. Other pricing functionality in here. Let's say, for example, that you want to improve your chances of getting filled. You can also select an option like hit or take, which buys at the ask. Interesting way of looking at the market. Usually the S&P E-mini has a very tight spread. So buying at the ask is not going to get you, we hope that it's not going to get you any surprises. But usually, the spreads are really tight. And if you buy at the ask, it's usually just a tick or two away from what the bid is. Okay. Usually, if the market's crazy, you never know what to expect. But these auto pricing functionality, I recommend that you all explore, because if you're not really sure about what the security is going to be worth at a particular time in the future, based on the conditions that you're setting to your order, whether it is time or price, then you can use the auto pricing features. Let's go ahead and take a look. So somebody's asking, would it work for options? Of course it would. You can set options to get bought or sold based on what's happening to options. Let's go ahead and look at an example. I don't do a lot of options example, but I do know that there's a lot of options traders here. So let's go ahead and take a look. Let me go here to TradeStation Pro for a moment, okay? All right, this is TradeStation Pro. All right, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a very interesting setup, maybe with the use of an OCO. So let's go ahead and do something. These are the monthly October on Spiders. Spiders is an ETF also based on the S&P E-mini. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pricing here. The pricing of Spider right now is 423. So maybe if you're looking at the price here, if it goes up to 425, let's say that we want to buy the call. But if it goes down to 422, we want to buy the put. See how I'm thinking? So let's say, for example, that the SPY has been trading within a certain range, and it's created some sort of consolidation pattern with a support and resistance level. And you want to trade options on the S&P, but you're not really sure, in which direction the underlying is going to break, because that's ultimately going to affect the price of your options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an OCO that has two option legs, and depending on the price of the underlying, then it'll choose which one to trade. I'm going to trade the call if it goes up to 425. I'm going to trade the call. But if it goes down to 422, I'm going to trade the put, thinking that it's just going to continue to go down. So let's go ahead and set that trade over here on the TradeStation platform. By the way, you cannot set OCOs inside of OptionStation Pro. So I'm going to have to go back to TradeStation to do this trade. What I'm going to carry over though, let me go here and go to the wrench because I want to add a symbol column. Okay, I want to take a look at the symbol. There we go. So we have the symbol. So let's go ahead and first of all, copy the symbol for the, let me choose the 426. I'm going to right click and I see copy symbol. I'm going to go back to TradeStation. Let me go back here to the OCOs. I'm going to do a custom OCO, same way that we did the other one. But this time I'm going to use two option symbols. So let's go ahead and right click inside the symbol. Doesn't do the right click. Well, let's do Control V. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, there we go. Let's see if it takes it. Okay, now it took it. What happened is that when I pressed the space bar, it actually added a space in front of the symbol. And it said, this is not a right symbol. It doesn't have any spaces in front of it. So I had to go in there and remove the space. The thing is that it wouldn't let me paste it unless the cursor was inside of there. I'll show you exactly what I did when I do the other one. Let me go back to OptionStation Pro. And I said that I was going to do the 422. So let me right click on that symbol and say copy symbol. And then I'm going to go back here to TradeStation and say in here, I press the space bar. Notice that I get the cursor in there. I press the backspace because there's an extra space since I press the space bar. And then I can do Control V to type in the other symbol. So take a look. I have a call and I have a put inside of this OCO, one at a strike price of 426, the other at 422. These are both buy to open transactions, and you have access to, let's see, you have access to the joining and the hitting and taking. Usually when you buy options, you buy at the ask or you buy at the bid, to get in right away. If you want to, choose a price in between, like a mid price, you can calculate it from any of the options here. But I really don't know what the price of the option is going to be when the underlying hits 426 or 422. So what I'm going to do is probably just say, I want to hit and take. Hit take, as we said earlier, hit take is going to have that ability for you to, buy at the ask in these two cases. And at least to a certain point, since you're using natural pricing, get executed right away. But what I want to do is go here to the 426, and I'm only going to buy the call at 426 if it reaches 426. I'm going to go here to the activation rule, go to the ellipsis. I'm going to go here to the price. The underline here is SPY. I'm going to add it. And if it's trading at or greater than 426, then I want that to be activated. Then I set the activation for the second one. Activation, ellipsis, price, SPY, which is an underline. It has to be trading less than or equal to 422. Am I doing this right? No, I think so. If it trades less than 422, then we think the price is going to continue to go down. Remember, we're setting this up more like a breakout trade. If Spider breaks, 426, we think the price is going to continue to go up. So we want to buy that call. On the other scenario, if it drops to 422 and it breaks 422, we think the price is going to continue to go down. So we would buy a put in that case. I'm going to click OK to this. I can go here to the right-hand side and verify that my activations are set up properly, and they are, and then I just click on send order. And here we go. We have an OCO keeping an eye on the prices of Spiders, the ETF. But if Spiders, trades at a certain price, it's going to send an options trade, which is really interesting. All right. Maybe you're not going to do a setup that requires an OCO, but I wanted to give you this additional layer that you can apply to your orders if you want to set those conditions based on time and conditions based on price. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some other functionality. In terms of, somebody's asking if it's an and or an or. when you go here to the activation rule and you set a time and you check price, this is an and. So yes, it doesn't have an or type of setting if you check both checkboxes. So this is always an and. What you can do is if you have multiple prices, let's say that you do SPY, but you also want to do $SPX.X just because you want, you know, the ETF to be in line with the index itself. Now you get over here a little drop down that allows you to select and or. So you can do an or when you're using price. You can use and when you're using price, but you cannot connect time and price into an or. When you do time and price, this is a forced and. Okay, so hopefully that is clear. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some other functionality here because I want to go over some of the features that are available on equities. Let's go ahead and talk about if touched. I know that somebody has been asking about if touched. If touched is a type of order that is very similar to a stop market order. So let me give you an example. Let me go over here to my matrix. Let's go to Verizon. I'm going to close my position here.
Order filled.
And I'm going to buy it again.
Order filled.
So I'm long Verizon, 500 shares. And I can do a stop market order would be submitted if I do a selling transaction like this. One of the benefits of using an if touched market order is that you can also send a market order above and have a selling transaction at market. And a lot of times we don't think about a market order to get out if it's making profits. You think of it as a limit order, but think of a limit order. A limit order is always trying to get you the price you specify or a better price. In a volatile market, you know, that could mean that your order could sit there because maybe it's not able to reach you the price that you want. It was able to activate it, so it was able to trade at the limit price. But since, you know, there may be other traders waiting in line and other shares that needed to get filled, for whatever reason, your order did not get in time and did not get filled. When you have a market order, eventually your order will get filled, maybe not at the price that you thought, but market order has that functionality that eventually your order will get filled at whatever price the market's trading at. So using if touched orders allow you not only to send market orders as a stop market, but also a market order at a target. So if it trades at a certain level and I have some profits, you know, generate a market order. That's the way that I think of the benefit of using an if touched market order. So here's Verizon. Let's suppose that I'm going to do a market order and I'm going to do if touched and I enter the price in here. So let's say, for example, that if Verizon goes to 32.75, 32.75 will generate a profit of about $135. If it goes to this price, then I want to generate a market order. So if I send this selling transaction, it's going to do that precisely. So you can see that I have a market order. That red box that you see there is my market order. The market orders are always going to reflect at the current market price, even though I have an if touched condition of 32.75. So that's the type of order that is going to be generated if the price touches 32.75. It's just going to be a market order. So that's why it gives you the flexibility of using market orders at any price you want. If it gets touched, it generates a market order. So that's the difference between that and just a regular stop market. Stop market can only be used below the market if you're on a long trade. So that's some of the things that I would do if touched. So for if touched, you can use market and you can also use limit orders as well. That's the resulting order if the price is touched. Some of the options that you find here, as you can clearly see in my screen, is that they're grayed out. And they're grayed out because you don't have the proper settings on the trade bar. They only become available if you put in certain characteristics. For example, trailing stops are only available if you go to the stop market functionality or stop order type. Notice that trailing stop is now available for me to click on. All or none, I believe, is part of a limit order. There we go. If we select limit order, now we have all or none. We have the show only, discretionary, and we have the non-display or the pegging. How familiar are you guys with some of these checkboxes and what it does to your order? Let me just give you a brief description on what they do. All or none, pretty straightforward, self-explanatory. All or none means that you want the quantity to get filled in its entirety. You're not really a fan of partial fills. If you're not getting everything, don't get me anything. That's exactly what this functionality is. And this is handled by the ECN or market maker that is going to fill your order. If it cannot fill your order in its entirety, it will just not fill it at all until it can. Okay, so that's an all or none. Trailing stops, I know that's a type of order that we're all familiar with. The trailing stop is an order that moves in your favor as the market is moving in your favor and then stays static when the market's going against you. So makes a lot of sense to send a trailing stop if you're expecting the market to move in your favor significantly and you want any stops to move along with it so that you don't lose the opportunity to capture those gains. So that's really, really interesting. We'll if we have time, we'll come back to trailing stop. But I wanted to show you this show only. Show only is a type of trade that hides the size that you're interested in trading. When you have stocks that are not, let me see if I find a stock that is not traded much. So here, this is a stock by the name of Tidewater. You can see the size of their bids and asks are not really that high, even though the price of this particular stock is, well, it's not a cheap stock. It's $72. You can see that it doesn't have the sizes that we see usually for highly traded stocks. I see the highest size here that I see is 500 shares right here at 72.12. So in a security like this that has visibility on the orders that are sitting in the books to get filled, it's very easy to at least get some prices to change. The current price is 72.33. If I send a market order, let's say that I send a market order to buy 1,000 shares. If I send a market order to buy 1,000 shares, if you look at the asking side, we have 11, 200, 100, 100. It's gonna fill the very top 4 or 5 different rows of what's being asked for, and the resulting price at the very end is going to be 72.46, since I'm buying that big size that this stock is not used to. So whenever you're trading a big size that you don't see reflected on the ticker for any security, that order is going to be visible to the market, and it may have an impact of what's happening to the prices. So the show only setting here will instruct the market maker or the ECN to display your order at the number that you have in here. So even if it's not going to work here because I'm connected to a trading simulator. But let's say, for example, that I'm interested in buying 5,000 shares of TDW. And I'm going to buy those at, let's say, at a price of, I'm going to join the bid. All right. And I'm going to show only 100. If I submit that buy order, it's going to go in here. If it shows right here 5,000, notice that it's the biggest size. Since this is not connected to the real market, we don't see the effect that this order has. But this is my actual order. The ECN or market maker will receive that order and say, I have instructions to only show 100. So what they'll do, they'll take their 5,000 buy order and split it into 100 shares chunks and display them at a time until the whole 5,000 get filled. That's what the show only does. And that's something that is handled by the ECN or market maker. If you don't want to show the order in market depth, just check this box that says non-display. A non-display is a type of order that's hidden from view. So the market maker receives that instruction. I want you to receive that order. I want you to fill me on the 5,000 shares, but I don't want you to make it public. Every trader has control over visibility of their orders, especially if you're specifying a price. And you can hide that order from view by just putting that check right here on non-display. Again, one feature that is made available by ECNs and market makers. On a discretionary order, discretionary is a type of order where you're willing to pay more in a buying transaction or receive less in a selling transaction, but you don't want the market to know. This Tidewater, it's been bid for at 72.40 and it's being sold at 72.46. So we have about a 6 penny spread. Let me go ahead and cancel that order that I just submitted earlier. Okay, so we have that 6 or 7 cent spread between the bid and the ask. The buyers want to buy it at 72.39. And let's say, for example, that you have a discretion of 5 cents, meaning that you want to buy at the bid at 72.39. I mean, in fact, let me put in that price in here. So 72.39, you're joining the bid. The sellers are selling at 72.46. So your order may just sit there, but you have discretion over 5 cents. So even though you're setting a price of 72.39, what you're actually telling the market maker or ECN is that you're willing to pay 5 cents more. So you're willing to pay 72.44. If I submit this trade like this, it'll go into the book at 72.39, but I just got filled because of the way that the market works. But you can see how the asking price was a seller must have dropped, their asking price to the price that I wanted. I only wanted a discretion of 5 cents. So even though my price was 72.39, I got filled. Well, this is 72.39 because it found a selling at 72.39, but it could have gotten filled at a little bit higher than 72.39 because you provided the ECN or the market maker instructions that you have that discretion of moving the price up or down 5 cents. All right. And pegging. Pegging is interesting. Pegging, you can use the best bid or ask. I can say, I want to buy at 72.42. If you send an order like this, what you're doing is that your order will display on the best bid up to the limit price you specify here. So if the best bid moves from 72.32, well, in this case is 72.32 to 72.33, then your order will move to it. It's pegged, but it's not going to go any further than what you specify here in the limit price. That's some of the functionality that you have available here on the advanced order bar that I'm sure some of you, if you're an equities trader, inside of TradeStation desktop, go to the apps menu, and everybody here should have an application called Video Station. In Video Station, we have every single presentation gets uploaded here. So let me go ahead and make this bigger. And here we have recent uploads, which is a default view. But then if you go to the Getting Started category, we have Getting Started videos on most of the applications. Then we have our masterclass series on technical analysis, easy language, or anything related to an advanced topic. But under platform and tools, let's go to events. Here's Art of TradeStation. This class that I'm doing right now is part of the Art of TradeStation series. If you click there, you'll find a lot of these topics that I'm referring to. Here's the one on OCO and OSO orders, placing advanced OCO and OSO orders in TradeStation. So for anybody who's looking for information on that, this is the video to watch. And I also have this other one, which is creating multiple order setups to manage entries and exits in one single trade. This is a website, by the way. You can make it bigger. But if you're looking for a centralized view inside of the platform to get access to all our educational videos, this is the place where you can go. Everything is uploaded to YouTube. In fact, this application that you're looking at feeds from YouTube, but it's in both places. If you want to do it directly on the platform, Video Station is the way to go. All right. I'm gonna leave it at this. I think we've already been here or been together for 60 minutes already. I don't want to abuse your time, but there's a lot of things that we can talk about TradeStation. Literally, I could sit here for hours and talk about TradeStation functionality, but I know that many of you have things to do. So I'm gonna leave it at here. At this point, and I know that we're going to have the recording of this presentation, so you're welcome to watch it, pause it, practice the functionality, make sure that you're leveraging all the videos that we have available in Video Station and what we are posting on the TradeStation YouTube channel. But again, I want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for your support of the TradeStation family, and I wish everyone a wonderful afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you in a future event. Goodbye, everyone. Great having you.